FESPA's theme of revolution is one that struck a chord with Inca digital printing. So I'm here with Heather Kendle, Director of Marketing, to find out why she feels so passionate about the revolution.
We started working using the phrase revolution probably beginning of last year, 2007, year before, when we launched the Onset and really did a step change in what digital could do in the market. Suddenly the output capacity of digital went sixfold over what it was previously doing, and that opened up a whole new market explosion for our customers in what they could do, where it fit in the market, and how it interacted with analog printing. So it's actually a very exciting time. So I think it is actually a revolution. Digital print has always been viewed as being an inferior technology. It was originally seen as doing samples, then it expanded to replace, for example, screen printing, very much FESPA's core, and it was, I think at one time people even begrudgingly used digital because it allowed them to do things they couldn't do, and they felt they would make do with the quality. Over the past 10 years, that quality's really shifted, and Onset was the first product that, by changing technically how we did digital print, so moving from a small print carriage to a full width array, it did a huge quality leap. And it's allowed customers to now promote digital in its own right, and often now they're not even telling a customer, their end customer, how they're doing the process. So they don't go to them and say, are you willing to accept digital? They just say, yes, I can do this job, and by the way, I can do this. So from their customers, in some respects it may be partly invisible, but actually in their reaction to the printer's reaction to their end customer, what it's doing is allowing them to be much more responsive to that customer and beginning, I think, to offer solutions that they couldn't offer before. So far, until we launched our new machine at this show, it's been very much the big boys who've been able to afford to take on this technology, because it's quite expensive, relatively expensive for digital equipment, and it's high throughput. So the guys that actually have that capacity, who can afford the technology, have really gone out there and got new business. What they've started to do is use jobs that originally they would have done on their litho, their offset press. They've started to put those on digital and offer people the option of customizing or doing regionalization, doing versioning, being much more responsive to their customers' needs. So they're very excited with what it does, and what it has also done is create a benchmark in the market that the end customer, the print buyer, is actually asking now for Onset type print, because he's recognised that there is this quality difference in the market, and he needs that. So it's allowed them to move into new markets, maybe to command a premium for their product, and just actually offer a broader scope of opportunities to their customers that they probably couldn't do before. I think what people are doing in this market, and this is the end, maybe the retailer, the brand owner, is that they're cutting down, their budgets are being squeezed, so they're looking at how they make the most of every penny that they're spending. So that's meaning that maybe they're not doing a huge print run to promote something. So maybe they're thinking, well, how else do I spend that money? Well, I'll do a smaller but much more focused campaign. Maybe if I'm Tesco's, I'm going to do some regionalised promotion, and I'm going to do something for the northwest of England that's very relevant to something that's happening there, or because there's high unemployment up in that part of the world. But they don't have to now do a campaign that's targeted across the whole country. Equally, if there's competitive activity going on, and if I go back to stick with retailers, they're fighting against each other all the time on price point and getting people to spend their money in there. If they're using digital technology, they can respond to what their competitors are doing. They haven't put their whole marketing campaign to bed and sent it all to print. What it allows them to do is start a campaign And if there's some reaction happening that they hadn't anticipated, they can then go back, maybe adjust their campaign to fight back against their competition and use that and progress it as they go through. So it allows them to be much more dynamic and much more flexible in their approach without costing any more money. I think one of the problems is both buyer and designer need to be aware of what the technology can do. And I think the more switched on ones do know what's out there, but I think there is still a big learning curve for some of them to go through so they really understand, because it's not just about the fact that you can personalise or regionalise and you can do variants, but actually the types of materials that you can print on. So if they're used to printing on an offset press, it's very limited. It's got to go around a cylinder, so it's very limited on the type of materials that it can run, whereas the new digital flatbed machines can print on a whole variety of materials, normal and wacky. So he can be creative not only in what he's saying, but in how he promotes what he's saying, whether it's a three-dimensional display, some very unusual material, or just considering the whole marketing campaign across a broader spectrum. All of the digital technologies remove a lot of the chemicals in the process. So you're not making plates and films. The amount of waste you're using is significantly reduced. And the other thing is you're printing directly to the substrate, so you're not mounting and laminating. So there's actually lots of environmental benefits. A lot of the technology you're seeing around the show here is UV based, and again, you've not got solvents going into the atmosphere, no VOC emissions. So whilst probably no printing process can be defined as being very green, of the technologies we have out there, digital comes quite high with environmental credentials.